Hey everybody, welcome back. These are videos I love to do because they show that you don't need to spend a ton of money to get together a good cook kit or some survival gear. So today, we're going to turn this thing into a DIY ultralight cook pot. Alright, thanks for coming back. I'm going to show you this. This is not originally my idea. Actually, I got the idea from Syntax 77, and if you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. He's got a bunch of outdoor hiking, camping type channels, videos, not channels. And he's got a bunch of gear on there you want to check out. But this was an idea he came up with, and originally he used a soup can or a vegetable can or something, but it had that plastic lining inside, so it didn't work as well, although it did work. And then he went to one of these cans. Now this is a coffee can. There are other cans that are like this, the smaller coffee cans. You want it without the lining inside, even though they're technically, I've been told there is a clear lining in there. We're going to burn this out anyway before we even do that. So the first thing you're going to do this, I've modified this a little bit. I'm going to modify this to do it a little differently than he did. The first thing you're going to do is take the label off. So you get the label off there. And I've already started to do that on the bottom. And once the label's off, we're going to come back and I'll show you how I get the glue off and everything. And then we'll deal with the top, because that top isn't going to work good for pouring. Alright, so we got the label off, and this is the plastic I was talking about. We'll get that off too. But I'm going to show you how I take this lip off, and then we're going to smooth it out. Of course, we're not going to be drinking out of this, but we're going to smooth it out so we don't cut our fingers or anything like that. What I do is I take a regular can opener, and I kind of started it here to see if it would work. I just run it along the inside of the pot and go around. So we're going to go around here. I'm going to take this lip off, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you how it came out. Alright, full disclosure time here. I've done it before. It wouldn't work with this can. So all I did was I took a Dremel and I just ran it around the outside of the lip there and took the lip off. What it was doing, it was cutting it, but it was starting to dent the can up, and I didn't want to dent it up really bad. So now I'm going to take some sandpaper, and I'm just going to smooth this edge off. Again, we're not going to be drinking out of this, so I'm not too concerned about it being that smooth. But I am going to smooth it off with sandpaper so we don't get any cuts. Alright, get yourself a flat surface similar to this. Just kind of run it back and forth. You'll make it nice and even. You'll also make it smoother. Just from doing that, it's already smoother. So we're going to smooth all that out, and then we're going to address this plastic on the side. Alright, we got the edges all nice and smooth. No real sharp edges there. And again, too, when you're storing this, if you're concerned about it ripping through something, you can always use the old lid. But we're going to get rid of this now. This is kind of an aesthetic kind of thing here. You don't really have to do this part. I'm going to spray some brake cleaner on here and let it soak, but that stuff will burn off anyway. So let me just soak it up. A little bit of almost empty brake cleaner. I'm going to let that sit a few minutes, and we'll come back when it's all off. Alright, it's been all cleaned up. No more... Actually, where was it? Where's the crease? There's the crease. And it was all along here. It's all gone, as you can tell. I washed it out a little bit with some soap and water just to make sure I got the coffee smell out of it. What I'm going to do next, I told you there's going to be some modifications to this, because we're actually going to put a handle on this and everything. What I'm going to do next is give it a little bit of a burn with a blowtorch, or a, well, not a blowtorch, a propane torch, and heat it up a little bit for two reasons. First of all, if there are any plastics or any kind of lining inside, that'll burn off. Second of all, if you notice the bottom, I tried this when I first got it and did a little bit of heat to it. Kind of gets that cool kind of case hardening look to it. Well, what that does is it also protects it a little bit from rust and corrosion. I don't want to paint it. That's my main thing. I don't want to paint it. So I kind of like the way it looks, but we'll heat up the torch here, and I'll see if I can get that effect on camera. But we'll also see if there's any more plastics or anything inside of it. I'm not seeing any smoke coming off it, so it looks like whatever was on there. See, there's that color coming out. I think that looks so cool. And it also helps kind of protect it. I should be using tongs for that and not my fingers. Don't do like I do, kids. Don't use your hands. little bit heavy of where I took off the stickies to make sure there's no more sticky stuff on there. And you can see how it kind of changed colors and got a little darker. I'm going to pick it up now and do the bottom. I'm actually burning my block. Got to be careful. Okay. So it's not black, but it's kind of a little bit of a grayish kind of look to it. And that should do fine. You know, we're not looking to make it perfect. I'm just looking to make sure that it's a little bit protected and kind of burned in there a little bit. So we're going to let that cool off. And while it's cooling off, I'm going to tell you an interesting fact about these. And this is something that I learned from Syntax77 on his channel. Each one of these markings has a purpose. The bottom marking, as you can tell, I don't want to pick it up. I'll pick it up with these. The bottom marking is bigger than the others. Get up there. The bottom marking is exactly 1 cup. Each one of these is a ½ cup increment. And to cool it off, we can actually test that out. Let's put a cup of water in there. There you go. Exactly 1 cup right up to that line. Right up to that line. So that's a pretty neat thing to be able to have. You got that set up there so you know that every other thing is a ½ cup. All right. So we're going to dump out the water and I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the next modification I do. All right, that's all cold to the touch now. And I think it came out pretty good. You can kind of see the coloring. There's little bits of purple in there and everything. And basically it took off all the any kind of plastic inside. I didn't see any burning or smoking off. But just to be safe. So the next thing we're going to do, and this is where I kind of deviate from what Syntax77 did, is I'm going to put a handle on this. Now, yesterday when I was bored, I went out to my fire pit and I got a piece of wood. And I'm going to put this up close so you can see it. I just took a knife and kind of whittled away at it and made a kind of rough makeshift handle. Then I took a Dremel sanding wheel and made the little round spots for the to fit on here. Now, they're not perfect, so I have a file here, a rounded file, and what I'm going to do is just kind of file into them until I get them wide enough so that they'll fit on the side perfectly. Once that's done, you'll notice I drilled holes. We're going to run some wire in these around the cup, and I'm probably going to keep the top part in a line. We're going to around the cup like that, top and bottom, to hold it, and then you'll have a little bit of a thing there, a little bit of a handle. I dyed it. I didn't dye it. I took some stain, some dark black stain, and I put it on there, kind of smoothed it up with sandpaper. It still looks a little rough. I kind of like the rustic rough looking to it, so it's kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand these flat now, not flat, but a little bit wider, and I'm going to measure my wire through there, and I'll show you how I put it on. All right, so I got these filed down so they almost fit the curvature perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to line up that first hole with this first part here. The second one I'll probably have to pull up a little bit because honestly, I was bad about not paying attention to where I was going with it. But the first one's going to go in there. So to do this, you just take the wire that you've cut and you're going to feed it through that hole and find a spot where it seems to be comfortable and just pull it around here tightly and twist it on the end until you get a good tight twist. So I'm going to do the top and the bottom and bring you back when it's all done, show you what the work looks like once it's finished. Now it almost looks like a huge beer stein, but came out pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. Again, I didn't line up that hole there perfectly with this, but I did run it up here and I did kind of mush it. This is very pliable wire. Usually comes in a big roll like this. I'm not really sure what it was from. I just knew I needed it for projects when I saw it at the Home Depot one day. So I twisted the ends down, okay? And I just twisted them down like that, tapped them down flat, took the Dremel, cut off the excess, and just kind of ran my file over it to make sure that nothing is sharp, and nothing is sharp there. I can run my finger up and over that and not get cut up. So there you go. And now you have a way to take it on or off the fire without using some kind of cozy or some kind of, extension or device. And it works pretty well. It kind of is reminiscent of an article I saw in, gosh, I want to say, was it Backwoods Home Magazine or something, where they had the POW cups, and they made little prisoner of war cups similar to this. And I mean, as far as this goes, it was just a knife and some sandpaper to make that little handle. You can tell it's not perfect, you know. I mean, we're really going for what works and not what's beautiful. And that's kind of why I even roughed up the outsides, because that way it's burned in and it won't rust as much. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set up a thing and we're going to try boiling water in it and see how it works. All right, it's in my little Lico camp stove here that runs on the butane. I really like this thing. We're going to be putting it on here. One of the neat part about this is it fits right into those little spots right there and snaps right into place. Of course, now I can't get it to do it. But anyway, there you go. So it's working away, and we'll see how fast that boils. Okay, 2 minutes 48 seconds. There you go. It's boiling. You can see that. Now remember that that piece of wood is still going to be warm, okay? But it's not going to be as bad as, say, trying to pick it up some other way. So there you go. Works pretty well. And eventually, yeah, it might get a little burned. I saw a little smoke coming off it, probably from the wire going through it. It might get burned, it might get beat up a little bit, but I mean, this is a free camp stove. Now I'm going to dump out the water here, and we're going to weigh it. I want to put this in, oh shoot, I zeroed it. 0 there. We want to move it to ounces. Okay, and zero it. 3.88 ounces, and that is with the wire and the wood and everything. So if you need yourself a cheap cook pot that's very, very lightweight, whoops, didn't get all the water out, and you need it to hold up, something like this is definitely something to look into. Let me give you a quick look around, see how I made it. And like I said, yeah, the wood's going to get a little singed. That's kind of why I use the dark stain, so you don't notice it as much. And you might get these really hot and it might burn a little bit in there. You might have to tighten it up. But this is something you can make for free, you know. And not only do you have the ability to use this while you're camping or going out or whatever, but you have your skills and knowledge that you've learned from making yourself something by hand. Anyway, that is the modified Ultralight cook pot. And big thanks to Syntax77 for putting that video out, because it made me think, you know. And I like videos that make me think like that. Makes you think about how you can make your own stuff, even in an emergency, in a disaster where there's really no cook set lying around. You make yourself one that easily. You could make yourself a little alcohol stove, toss it in there, and you'd be ready to go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out our Amazon store down below. Click the link if you don't want anything that's in the store. And by the way, this stove is in the store if you want to pick it up. It's a little Lico propane camping stove, butane camping stove. You can shop there. You can just shop for normal stuff. You know, you don't have to buy anything that's in the store. Click the link. Do your normal shopping. It helps benefit the channel. We get a little cut out of that. Not much, but every little bit helps. And if you're interested in thinking about stocking up for some freeze-dried foods, check out our Thrive Life link down below. Some of you guys have been checking it out, and I've had some people locally here that have tried it. They love it. It's a really, really good deal. It gets you really, really clean, good food that you can put away for 25 or 30 years. So don't forget to check them out too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.